Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Keyblade Master and welcome to my channel and another Mega Man Thursday where I'm going to be reviewing another Mega Man game. Now, today I'm going to be reviewing Mega Man Zero 2. Now this game's a little bit mixed. To me, it's not as good as the game that preceded it, and it's definitely not as good as the game that follows. But does that make Mega Man Zero 2 a bad game? No, it's just there's a few changes Capcom made in this game that kind of detract from what Zero had, and then what Zero 3 has as far as story, narration, and just overall stages aren't here in Zero 2. So it's kind of an odd mess. But it's not a bad game. Let's go take a quick look at Mega Man Zero 2. The story in Mega Man Zero 2 takes place about a year after the end of Mega Man Zero. Zero has managed to defeat the evil copy of Mega Man X that was ruling over Neo Arcadia, and the real Mega Man X asked him to look after the world for a while until he can rest and recover. Zero complied with his wishes and is now fighting Neo Arcadia. However, he chooses to do it alone. However, that comes to an abrupt halt after he collapses in the desert and is saved by none other than Harpia, who just ditches him back at the New Resistance base and is able to recover. However, he is now under the command of a new Reploid called Eplaizo, which Seal has put in charge of the Resistance fight. And of course, as you can tell, this guy is a kind of grade A general moron, douchebag, and you're going to be fighting him at the end. That was kind of so freaking ridiculously obvious from the first moment I played this guy. I'm going to be fighting him, aren't I? Still, the game's story does have a few interesting twists, like this one, for example. Oh my god! They just killed X! You bastards! And with that one scene, Capcom kind of just showed us that they're not screwing around with the story in the Mega Man Zero series. This isn't going to be your typical Mega Man with the recycled villain and plot cliches over and over again. The narrative in Mega Man Zero is meant to be taken seriously. Now, let's move on to the graphics of this game. And how does it look? Just like its predecessor, this game looks pretty darn good, if not better. Now, one of my favorite scenes to show off in this game has got to be the very first scene that you see in the desert. You just kind of see the sunset as Zero goes through the stage. It's kind of this barren wilderness as Zero gets chased down. It's a really great looking scene, and it really shows off some of the Game Boy Advance's potential for these 2D games and why the best looking 2D games were on the Game Boy Advance. And then you can throw in some of these 2D stills that you see for cutscenes, and the game just looks great. And just like the last one, the action is pretty brutal for an E-rated game. You're still cutting through robots with that Z-Saber and seeing a whole bunch of dismemberment and explosions following behind you as you just rip through the action. I just love the animation that comes with the carnage, especially when you finish off the bosses with the Z-Saber. Oh, so satisfying to watch them go kaboom! The sound and the music in this game are pretty good. I already shown you one of the big explosion sound effects that happens whenever you beat the boss, but the regular music and action sound effect work well in this game. Take a listen. Now let's move on to the gameplay aspect of Mega Man Zero 2. This is where the game kind of falls apart just a little bit. Now, in the last game of Mega Man Zero, you had more mission-oriented gameplay, and after you completed a mission or enough missions in an area, Zero could go back kind of free roaming the entire game and collect power-ups and stuff if he completed all the missions in that area successfully, so you could collect extra energy and find a few secrets doing this. That is now gone, replaced back with more of a typical Mega Man menu setup where you have to select a boss to beat. You're still going to be collecting and training Cyber Elves that you get from beating these bosses, as well as getting elemental chips. However, some of the really big cyber elves that you could get for completing some of the harder missions are now gone, unless you play the game in harder difficulty, I do believe. And trust me, Mega Man Zero 2 is hard enough. Because of this, you can't exactly power up Zero to be the badass that you could get him to be in the original Mega Man Zero Game Boy Advance game, and the fact that that is missing is kind of a shame and does dampen the replayability. That's one of the things I liked about Mega Man Zero. Yes, the first time through it was really hard. However, the second, third, and fourth time, just because you could keep powering Zero up with these cyber elves, so the fact that you could just make him almost invincible was part of the reasons why I enjoyed replaying that game. The fact that this is no longer here in Mega Man Zero 2 is a bit of a disappointment. Add in the fact that I didn't really think some of the level designs were as fun, and while the new hookshot weapons can be enjoyable, one of the stages tries to make Mega Man Zero be Simon Belmont from Super Castlevania 4, and you quickly find out that the whip mechanic in this game is not up to snuff, and getting through that one particular area is more than frustrating. In fact, Mega Man Zero 2 can be summed up as being kind of hard and frustrating, and tipping towards it being too far on the other end of being so hard that it's easy to quit. I'm not saying it's unfairly hard or that it's a bad game because of its extreme challenge. I am saying that if you're not prepared for it, expect to rage quit or end up, if you're playing this on the Wii U, overusing that emulation save system just to get through some of the really hard areas, and that's such a shame. In my opinion, Mega Man Zero 2 is not as good as Mega Man Zero, and it's not half as good as Mega Man Zero 3. But if you're a fan of either one of those games, or if you just want to get into the Mega Man Zero series and play through them all, Mega Man Zero 2 is definitely worth a pickup. It is not a terrible game. It's just not as great as some of the others in this series. I give Mega Man Zero 2 for the Game Boy Advance a 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, if you're into the series, if you're into challenging hardcore platformers, this might be the game for you. Those looking for something lighter need to look elsewhere. And out of all the games in the Zero series, I would recommend this game the least to start out as. Anyways, thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. This is Tommy the Keyblade Master signing out. And next week, it's of course going to be Mega Man Zero 3, which I think is the crown jewel of the Mega Man Zero series. So look forward to watching it.